I should have learned that trick much earlier, but I'm a noob. Ready?
Ready to go.
Let's do it, baby.
Let's
All
do
right.
it.
What's up, folks? And yeah, folks. Yep, that applies to everybody. Actually, I was like, wait, who didn't I include?
Yeah, it's all
Everybody.
inclusive.
What's going on? This is Wasted Potential number 17, something like that. We are
I feel
here
like it's
with
been more than 17.
That's because the episodes drag on and they're hard to watch.
Yeah,
you
that's
know?
probably
it. We're here with the gravelly voiced, dreamily handsome Etienne Rosas, the lead singer of the Revies. My friend, how you doing?
Really well. Thank you so much. Thanks so much for having me. It's great to finally have this podcast that we've been talking about for like 2 years or something.
Yeah, I was gonna say months, but okay, I guess I'll take 2 years.
Everything has felt like years in the past few months.
Yeah. How's your concept of time doing lately?
The concept of time is insanely warped. I feel that the last show we had was like now it's like all sort of like reunion tours. Like when we get back together, it's just gonna be kind of like that.
Yep.
Like it was like I remember those years ago when we actually used to play shows.
Yeah, and it was like 8 months.
Yeah.
Wait, when was the last show you guys played?
We actually did that one that was super fun at Cinema Bar.
Oh.
I don't think you went to that one.
No, who else was there? I feel like I did. I feel like I got there late though.
Who played that show?
Younger bands?
Yeah, some of the younglings.
Yeah.
I don't remember. It was like four bands that night.
Yeah.
But I totally forgot like who it was.
Did Josh throw it?
Josh threw it, yeah.
I feel
He
like
invited us.
I feel like I don't know if I did. Do you remember when that show was?
It was literally I remember, there was already like it was ill-advised to go to shows.
Oh,
So-
it was at that point.
Yeah. So we were already like playing the show thinking like, I mean, we're playing a super spreader right now, but let's fucking just do it. I mean, we're here.
You're super spreading your rock and roll awesomeness.
Exactly.
None of this COVID. So that must have been post like March 13th or 14th.
Yeah,
or
something like that. Because
by St. Patty's Day we were closed down.
everything
in
was
LA.
like. I remember
Yeah.
we had a show at Maui Sugar Mill.
Yeah.
Like I think like probably like maybe 7 days after that, and
Yeah.
that just got canceled because at that like it was actually still on like about 4 days before, and that was
Yeah.
when like Garcetti gave his like whole announcement and shit, and then everything just kind of went downhill from there.
Yeah, well, I remember there were a bunch of places. I remember Harvell's included. Harvell's actually put out a tweet. For those of you who don't know, Harvell's is where the West Side Revival thing happens. Great blues bar in Santa Monica. Harvell's they put out a statement being like, until we absolutely have to shut down, we're open. And like 2 days later, they shut down. There's a bunch of stuff scheduled at a bunch of places that we're hoping to hang on. And I don't blame them for wanting to hang on because we're seeing the mass closure of
Of all these venues,
of all the venues.
probably all the ones that we used to play at or ever had the opportunity.
Yeah,
to play.
exactly. Well, let's dive into that then. After we'll get to the Revies and who is Etienne.
Yeah, well, that shit's not really important. Let's get to the actual
But
macro shit.
it's important to me. It is. I mean,
the micro audience.
you're a fascinating dude, and you have a fascinating history, in my opinion. But yeah, okay. So what do you? So who do we got? We got the factory in downtown LA closed. We got the satellite closed. The hi-hat purportedly
sale.
is up for sale. Yeah, they still might be doing filming there or something like that. I'm not sure. So all these places are closing. More places are probably going to close. We're hoping a couple hang on.
Troubadour is like pushing hard for like the.
What has been going on with them?
It's like I think like they're pushing hard for some legislation that will give venues like a stimulus or something like that to keep them to actually keep employing their staff for I think a year or something.
Was that like the
something
California relief for
something like that? Yeah,
independent
But
contractors?
I don't think it had passed just yet.
Yeah.
But like people, I think it had been spreading around, and some people had been supporting them. But honestly, like it's anybody's guess at this point. Who knows like how far this thing is going to stretch?
Yeah.
Especially for venues, which like are supposed to be having massive events or like events for more than 500 people.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't I don't think it's like very auspicious for them. at this
No,
point.
it does. I mean, it doesn't seem like it. Do you think they're going to close? I mean, I don't follow them closely. I love the Troubadour, but a couple of the deals I've been offered there have been
Yeah, I mean,
less than dog shit.
I mean, well, LA in general,
Yeah.
like all the venues that you get is like a little bit less than horse shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is slightly above dog shit. So it's like right in between.
There's some gradient in like goat shit. I guess that would be an intermediate
goat shit would
sized
be
animal.
an appropriate gradient of shit. So like, I think like a bunch of those venues, like I mean, honestly, I think we're just in for a reset.
Yep.
In terms of venues.
Yep.
Like there is just no way that a lot of these are going to be able to cope with what's going on. And that is probably going to continue going on for at least the foreseeable future in like 2-3 months.
Yeah.
Which where I think a lot of these venues is like a matter of life and death. you
Yeah.
know?
No, I think so. And, you know, I remember when I saw, you know, when all this shit started, I remember the hi-hat and the satellite. For all the shit I've said, I've only ever had good times at those venues.
If you actually have curiosity, for just like, or even just like a little bit of like a love of controversy, I highly recommend that you follow.
a love of controversy.
You follow Josh and Ben because it's actually quite entertaining to actually see like the stuff that they post up.
Thank you.
And to actually see the responses too.
It's all for entertainment.
I mean, honestly, most of the time I'm just a spectator, and sometimes I'll be like, I'm just gonna let this unfold.
yeah, let's see how this
and
goes.
see where it goes.
It's the popcorn gif of Michael Jackson eating popcorn
Exactly.
in
It's like,
Thriller.
I just want to see where this goes.
Yeah, absolutely.
But no, I mean the comment that you made, I'm just gonna flat out just like mention it's like about the satellites.
I said it. So.
Yeah, you did say it. It's
Yeah.
it's there, searchable.
Yep.
You will get canceled for it in a year.
I already have.
When you're a politician 10 years from now, and then people
Can you imagine me as a politician? That's the end of the world.
I can't imagine you as a politician.
You can, I know.
because this is America.
Yeah.
And Donald Trump is president.
Yes,
So yes. You would be a considerable step up, by the way.
Yeah, right. Well, I appreciate that. Jesus. Yeah. Well, no, I said, I said basically the first thing I said was good riddance to the satellite, whose overpriced venue fucked more musicians than Laurie Maddox, which is just a funny joke. But also
very true.
True, right?
But also very true.
Which is a shame because, you know, I did have, first off, I had a lot of people message me and say, you hit the nail on the head. I also had a few people message and just go, why kick them while they're down? We had great times there. And I never said I didn't have great times there. I said in that post, I feel for everyone who works there, you know, and I do. I don't want anyone to lose their job because I had great times in that green room. I had great times on that stage. I had great times at shows, but hey, man, your business model is built on taking money from me for bringing heads to your venue.
An exploitation of a lot of musicians in general.
And I'm a musician. So turns out I don't like you very much, you know? And if you want to treat me that way, then what do you expect?
I mean, the whole thing with like with venues, especially with regards to the power imbalance between them and musicians in Los Angeles in particular, is you know, I feel like a lot of people are going to view it from a perspective of like, oh, I had so many great times there and everything. And musicians also have that side of
100%,
it, you know, because we fucking love to play and like being up on stage, and some of those has been like some of the greatest memories we've ever made. But at the same time, like you do have to, I guess, like you have to wonder how much of it has been worth it, given that a lot of these venues, like the financial incentive that they had to capitalize off of our enjoyment and the enjoyment of our fans has been just like exploited to the maximum. And I feel like the satellite, for example, was one example of that. And I could name a bunch of other ones. So like, honestly, as a musician, if there is a reset that comes from this whole crisis, I don't think I would necessarily feel that is an entirely bad thing for us.
Right,
you know?
So,
and the fact that a lot of musicians actually came out and just were like me tooing themselves, like of like, we were also exploited. We were also, you know, not making anything while the bar was making like their $3,000, you know, off of our night of, you know, actually doing their job for them, you know, is a sign of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, well, you know, look, I mean, on the one hand, it does, you know, like I was telling you earlier, a buddy of mine was the one who turned me on to. You know, I went to his place for dinner, and gotta make sure they can see the dick.
Yeah.
Right up
In all
front,
of its
baby. There we
In
go.
all of its splendor. It's looking
Pointed at
straight
you,
you.
ladies and gentlemen.
It's intimidating. Isn't it?
Okay, I won't even go there. So they
We're already at one sensitive topic. Let's stick this
well,
one
at a time.
Then
you know,
we'll move on to the
package
others.
them all together. It's too much. I have these on here. What is that? So I feel like, you know. Oh yeah. So I was at a buddy's place for dinner, and I was actually decrying. This was at the beginning of the lockdowns, and I was like, man, all these places are going to close. What are we going to do? Where am I going to play? What's going to happen in the music scene in LA? And he's like, A, the music scene in LA already struggling. B, are you going to miss a place that screws you over every chance they have financially? And I'm like, that's a pretty solid point actually, which turned me on to being like, no, good riddance, man. I mean, look, if you can't come up with a business model, it should work for both parties, right? The booker should be happy, the people who own the venue should be happy, and the musicians should be happy. But if you can't treat your musicians well, man, they're not going to want to play your venue. You're not going to be able to demand good talent. And I think that might have been how it started to go down in the first place, you know, where everybody says, oh, LA is dead and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, where they originally, you know, the pay to play stuff, but then they started saying, oh, it's not pay to play. It's just if you don't sell X amount of tickets, you don't get paid. It's like,
So it's pay to play.
Exactly. It's by a different
in practical terms.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's like, hey, look, I don't think you should get paid a whole ton if you don't bring a bunch of people. But if there are people there, like there are bars. So when we go on the road, for instance, there are bars who will say, okay, you know, we have a bar minimum, and if you reach that, you get 10, 20%, whatever it is. There's all kinds of deals. But at those places, like, look, you're not from there. So you're the deal that I pitch to a lot of places where we play not in LA is, okay, look, we might not have a huge draw there, but if you guys have a good built-in crowd, we will keep them there. We will bring some people, but we'll keep them there and we'll keep them drinking. And that largely tends to work out. You know, they're just like, our bar sales were crazy. And it's like, well, yeah, because we're playing loud, good rock music, hopefully, in our opinion, you know, that people tend to enjoy.
It's a very personal opinion, but
Exactly. Hey, I'm not saying everybody shares it. But so I wonder for LA, like, I don't know if that kind of a model is practical at all. But I wonder what, you know, you talk about a reset in LA. I wonder what that looks like. What do you think it'll be people like me and you, musicians who just rent out a warehouse? Do you think new entrepreneurs will say, okay, we're going to buy out this space, build a stage, yada, yada, yada? Like, how do you see it?
I mean, it's a good question. Like from one side, like I see the predicament of venues in the sense that, you know, it's also like kind of like restaurants in LA. Like properties here and like rent here is insane.
Yeah.
So I know that they probably face a lot of financial pressure in that sense. Like in Santa Monica, you see like a couple of those restaurants didn't survive a month.
So many places.
Yeah, it's just like they like 1 month of not having business was enough for them to not be able to pay their rent, and that was it. Yep. So I guess like venues have that same pressure. At the same time, I also think like there's the other side of it that's operating where it's like there are so many artists that want to come to LA and play here, and they're not necessarily good artists, but there is like, I guess, like a ample supply. Yeah. So like venues know that. Venues know they don't need you, or they know at least they can get somebody else like to replace you. Yep. So at that point, like it becomes like a thing where they just kind of like are maybe looking at their business model and saying like, well, in the band sector, like I don't really need to spend a lot. Actually, I could use bands to actually make up for shit that is losing me money. Yeah. And that sort of thing is probably there to stay as long as LA is like a super attractive city for bands. Right. And I don't know like if that's going to change like post-COVID. Probably not. But at the same time, like maybe at least in my like utopian reality of things, which I know like you think is like highly utopian.
I've never used that word. Folks, this is an example of people who disagree who still get along.
So like, but I can show you the math of why it's not utopia. Anyway, like that's a topic for another day.
Music podcast.
But in any case, like what I think is that, at that point, like maybe people will be starved enough for like actual pretty good entertainment.
Yeah.
Venues will be like at opening up like in places that maybe they did not pop up at all before. They haven't had a name established, so they can't really actually maybe enforce their like asymmetric power over bands.
Yeah.
So maybe there will be some scenario in which they will actually seek out bands. First off, they'll be willing to take risks because like we'll be starting off like from scratch.
That's the thing, man, is the willingness to take risk. I mean, I feel like a lot of these, not to cut you off if you had a, but that's the thing that kind of freaks me out is like, it's the willingness to take risk because it's like these venues are so risk averse. And look, businesses are typically risk averse, I guess. And these venues are so risk averse that they're not like, I mean, maybe it was back in the day. It was different when they took on bands like the Doors or Steppenwolf or something at the Whiskey or wherever, where they just said, "Hey, look, we'll pay you X amount per night. You just play 5 nights a week, and that's your job." Now it's like, from going through booking venues, they ask you how many people do you think you can bring on what night of the week do you think you can bring that many people?
They pressure you to promote stuff that they don't do themselves
while doing no promotion themselves. Exactly, which is like upside down.
Musicians,
world,
if you want to come to LA, this is what you're going to face.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's completely unlike any other place that I've ever played at.
It is.
I've never felt that kind of pressure to promote.
And it's home. And that's what's weird is like here, I there are a couple venues who I will still stand by. Harbell's being chief among them. Honestly, the Factory I thought was sweet before it shut down. A couple other places, but it is weird when you come here, and this is when I was talking to Taylor Barisoff a couple episodes ago, by the time this thing posts, I guess. He was just like, man, LA don't like to pay, Yeah. And it's the strangest thing in the world. I guess people started to see it as such a great place to create things and make music that I think venues either got greedy or rock music went on a vogue or whatever it was, that now we're in a position where, man, we actually do need a hard reset. Hopefully enough musicians can hang on in this place. People like you, I really hope, like, through the hardships of COVID and all that, can actually make it. I know personally I've talked about like, man, I might need to get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
Not because I want to, but because like
how do I survive here?
What's left for exactly? Yeah, literally, how do I survive? Pretty much.
I mean, every passing day living in LA is an investment. Like it's not like at all like being back home. I'm like from Brownsville, Texas, where it just cost me like negative $20 to live.
They pay you to live there?
They pay me to live there.
Where is Brownsville?
Brownsville is like right on the tip of Texas. So like it's on the
southern.
Yeah,
okay,
it's like right on the border with Mexico.
Yeah.
It actually is. It's pretty much the same city as Matamoros. Like they're called sister cities because there's no real division among them except from this imaginary line
border
that we have created.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Fucking white people. But anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna make any. I actually, in recent times, the way most white people have been talking to me, I'm like, okay, I think I might be starting to see the light. White people are really annoying. Yeah.
No, but it's a very stark division there in the sense of like, it's I was born a couple of miles up from, most of my friends.
Right. Were you raised?
I was born in Brownsville and I was raised there up until like age, probably like 8.
Okay.
And then I went, and that's when at the time, like we started, like I spoke in Spanish to my parents, like since I was growing up, but it started to be like very broken Spanish.
Yeah, yeah.
And Carlos is my older brother.
Yep. He's your older brother?
He's the older brother. Yeah.
I always thought you were the older
Yeah,
brother.
for some reason people think
Do people think that?
I feel like it's just.
I don't want to be insulting or anything.
I just like look like I have more wisdom in me.
Hey, Carlos.
That boy just doesn't know.
How much older than you is he?
He's only
a year or something?
a year and a half
Okay,
more.
okay,
Yeah.
so
So
not-
not that much older.
Not super
But
substantial.
he is actually the more prudent one. So anyway, we sort of like at that point, my parents sort of started seeing us develop into these little just like, you know, completely all American gringo kids, and they were just like, you know, there's more to it than this. So like let's take them over to Mexico and like see what they actually got, you know?
So are your parents from Mexico?
Yeah, they were born, both of them are from northern Mexico, which is close to Monterrey, which is like a pretty major city in the northeast.
Yeah.
And they,
for my ignorance of geography, I know that one.
Yeah, that one. Monterrey, well known.
One of the biggest ones.
and my dad, he started out his practice like before Carlos was born.
Yeah.
And so that's where it all took off, and it's kind of crazy to me how different my reality is from just that one basic fact.
Yeah.
And that, you know, even though I've had like the duality of that experience, because I moved back and forth.
Are you a dual citizen?
I'm a dual citizen, yeah.
That's sweet.
Yeah, no, it's actually a great perk.
Yeah.
It's super great.
That's awesome.
Except for the part that where it's just like, people like often ask you like, so if like the US and Mexico went to war, who would you fight for? And then you're just like, fuck both of them. I don't know.
Canada?
Probably just go to Canada.
Canada's cold, but hey, they're not at war, you know?
Why would I need to fight a war between?
Yeah.
Anyway, but like you kind of just feel like you're part of both places, but you're also part of neither. You know?
Yeah,
You're
right.
a little kind of like stuck in between, which is nice, you know, because I feel like that's sort of how most people in the world eventually are going to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
As like national lines start to become
Cosmopolitan
much more
citizens,
blurred, you
more
know.
or less, yeah.
So I mean, I think like the experience that I have had, you know, going back and forth between these two like completely different realities, sort of maybe made me a little confused, but at the same time made me a little bit more objective about like the benefits and the drawbacks of like both of those like societies.
Right.
And Brownsville, like, even though that it's like so close to the border, it's just it is a very different environment.
It's got to be 100 times different
Yeah,
than even here.
Even though it is like, even, you know, I guess like 98% Latino or something like that.
Yeah,
It still feels like the U.S. It doesn't feel like Mexico.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Why might that be? I mean, look, to me, beliefs don't, to me, people are individuals. Beliefs don't break down along racial boundaries. But it is interesting that just on one side of, again, just an arbitrary border that we drew, that people drew.
Some people drew.
Yeah, exactly.
Way down.
Yeah. Why does it feel more American? Like, what do you mean, you know?
It's somewhat of a difficult question, but like the institutions that the U.S. had that are built into everything that the U.S. does, like the educational system, the social programs, the health system, which is not, you know, amazing, as you might all know. So the security.
Fortunately, I'm healthy. So.
Security apparatus, all those things, the roads, everything. Yeah. Like, it's just built in a completely different philosophy than how like Mexico is structured. Yeah. And as part of the U.S., it's still kind of like holds true to a lot of those structures. Right. So like structures change everything. Like institutions just change everything. Yeah. And in Mexico, like I feel that much of what has lagged behind for development in general has been a lot of that institutional advancement of like how things are organized. Yeah. And many of those like especially like places that are far removed from the capital, like from Mexico City, just have like a completely different path to development that was like a little bit harder to channel into like the center of like how the entire country developed.
Would you say it was more like in America, there's a lot of sort of top-down reach, and in Mexico, there's a lot of just like, well, this pocket's very different from that pocket. Yeah. I mean, there is that in America too, but I don't know how cultural institutions pervade different localities in Mexico. I don't know if there's the same type of coherence. Like, look, New York's very different from California, which are both remarkably different from Alabama and Florida. But it's all America, you know. Is that the case in Mexico too?
I think so, to a certain degree, yes. Yeah. Like the U.S. definitely, even though people talk about like, oh, the small government is like better or whatever, it's like it's a huge government.
Yeah,
it's a huge apparatus,
massive
and it reaches everywhere, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
And the top downness of it, even just like kind of like the ethos of how like the U.S. Functions, is very sort of centralized in a certain way.
Yeah.
Whereas like Mexico, I feel like it's just like it tried to be centralized, but it never really developed like the institutions in order to make that happen effectively.
Cartels might have stood in the way of that.
Cartels eventually stood in the way. It was like maybe in the past like couple of decades.
I was gonna say I don't know if that's
they're like a
historical.
They're
thing.
definitely a structure. They're definitely a structure,
Yeah.
and you can't like
Hey, dude, look, Tupac was the one who was one of my favorite quotes from Tupac is some interviewer asks him, so why are you still part of a gang or whatever? And he goes, yeah, well, if you think the Democrats and Republicans aren't just gangs, I guess I'll stop being part of one when they do, which I think is, I mean, that one always stuck with me because that is more or less how I see it.
It's a very fair point.
Yeah.
I mean, I studied basically sort of like the biopolitical motives behind ideological movements, extremist gangs.
Well, give him your background. I mean, so besides music, which I'll ask you your development in music in a minute, but your background. What was it that you said you got your?
So I did my.
This man's a doctor, by the way. I'm talking to a doctor. This man's a doctor in. What was it?
Public policy. Analysis.
Okay, yeah. And your focus was what? Yeah.
My focus in public policy was security.
Yeah.
In general, like global security, but like I did my dissertation was on the crime terror nexus, which is sort of like the intersection points of organized crime and ideological extremist groups.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So it's pretty interesting shit.
That's
but
awesome.
Pretty hardcore shit. Yeah.
It's very hardcore.
and so like much of the emphasis that I take is like, well, we seem to view like gangs and like, we talk about like Muslim extremism. We talk about Marxist extremism and a lot of these other groups as like just sort of anomalies or certain things that just kind of pop up from the.
You see them as more of a function of the system.
They serve like a really essential sociopolitical function, like a biopolitical function. And like unless my whole point in it was like it's not that they're good and it's not that they're effective. They're effective at some things. They're highly ineffective in others.
Yeah.
They're highly undemocratic.
Yeah.
Which I think is a pretty good foundation for any type of organization.
Undemocratic or democratic?
Democratic,
okay.
right? So the fact that you are undemocratic makes you much more liable to like make a lot of these mistakes.
Yeah, I agree.
That like run people under the bus.
Yeah.
So like, but the whole point is that where you look at these things, it's just like good guy, bad guy type of situations. Where it's just like the big guy is always the good guy,
right?
The small guy is always the bad guy.
Yeah, it's not quite that cut and dry.
Yeah, it's just like they serve a function within their societies.
Right.
Like cartels serve a function.
Yeah.
Unless you understand that function and the gap that they're actually trying to fill, you're never going to do away with them. They always like will have that appeal that Tupac talked about.
Well, hey, our FBI would never deal drugs to the American population or
Nor would
kill
the CIA,
people.
would
Yeah,
they?
exactly. Or kill people in the shadows or anything like that. That's crazy, man. The cartel's bad. The FBI and CIA, good. American History 101.
There's a movie called Kill the Messenger, which I feel like a lot of people should watch.
I feel like I've heard of it, but I don't know it.
I feel
What
like
is
you
it?
would actually enjoy it. You
What
and
is it?
Josh would definitely enjoy it.
Who's in it?
Jeremy Renner is in it.
I like Jeremy Renner.
Jeremy Renner.
Yeah.
And he, so it's a story about this dude. It's a real story.
Yeah.
And this dude's story is actually heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Because this guy is like, he's like an award-winning journalist.
Yeah.
He works for the San Jose
Chronicle?
Mercury or something. San Jose Chronicle.
Oh,
I don't know.
Mercury.
One of those.
right?
I don't know. But anyway, he works for a pretty like well-recognized newspaper where he's at, and then he starts exposing a lot of these the connection between the CIA to a lot of drug organizations that were then funneling weapons over to the Contras.
I was going to say.
all that stuff.
Biggest one is the Iran Contra.
So like he was the first one who started exposing it, and then at the beginning when he starts doing it, like he does an expose, finally runs it through, and then like his newspaper is just like, fuck yeah, like you cracked the case, all good, yeah. And then afterwards he's just like, I want to go deeper, like I want to keep on going with this, like this is like just the tip of the iceberg, And then like they start getting calls, and then they're just like, stop.
You got to stop.
Yeah. And then he's just like, well, why? Like, this is obviously of value to people. And they were like, yeah, but we've gotten calls from people that matter, so you got to stop. Really and at that point, the dude just kind of gets incredibly frustrated, keeps on going. Yeah. Obviously, the newspaper fires him. They start talking about how he's unstable and shit. And then he starts...
Oh, they start smearing like his reputation.
Smearing the actual person who is like a distinguished journalist, who is somebody who clearly has provided like evidence of... you know, like the absurdity of of the system that we live in.
Do you know how many times I've used the word absurd and I'm just like...
Yeah, because it's like shameless old promo when you use it.
Well, it's a perfect word for a lot of scenarios, and it's like, oh, that's the band, or whatever.
In any case, like, so what ends up happening is like this dude... under suspicious circumstances, while he's continuing his investigation, putting shit out on like this like blog before blogs existed. He ends up committing suicide.
Oh, geez.
On the day that he was moving and with 2 shots to the head.
Oh, so he committed suicide.
He committed suicide.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
And then like, you know, I had his wife saying like, yeah, Gary was a little unstable, you know, I know.
He pulled an Epstein.
He pulled an Epstein. And then this shit just kind of got, but one of the quotes that resonated with me that guy gave was,
do you know his name?
Gary,
well, he's the subject of the movie.
He's
right?
the subject. Yeah.
Shoot the messenger.
Kill the messenger. Kill the messenger. Okay. And he said like basically, before I covered this, he's like before I covered this, I kind of like thought, you know, I was like doing big shot stuff and like important things, and then like it was when I started getting calls from above for a story that I was doing to stop. That's when I realized that none of the shit that I'd done before mattered, because the only things that matter are the ones that you actually start getting calls from.
Oh, yeah.
When people tell you stop.
Oh, that's when you're getting close to cracking an actual
That's
story.
when they say like, stop doing what you're doing. And it's like, at that point, when they want you to stop, that's what matters.
That's where you touch the nerve. That's where you did actual journalism.
Yeah, exactly. But before that, it's like, you know, congratulations, Pulitzer, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, you got it. We're gonna give you all these accolades, so you shut the hell up, man.
Exactly.
Stop. Like, we assume you'll just get
stick to your lane.
Comfortable and you know, maybe write a book, whatever.
Keep your prestige.
Exactly.
You get a bigger house.
Don't sacrifice your career, man. You know.
Exactly.
Good for him, man. I've always I grew up writing for the school newspaper and always wanting to. I mean, I'm a big fan of that, and actually this parlays into kind of what I wanted to say, which is I know a lot of your lyrics in the Revies. I don't know that you have other projects. Revies is
no, not really. Revies is like my main outlet.
So. Don't call it Reggie's.
Reggie's is probably
that's not good. Reggie's are
it's a little side project.
But no. So for me, like a lot of the early stuff that I started writing musically was focused around, you know, the concept of, look, this is a goofy term for a couple reasons, but justice and truth and all that stuff. Socially aware, maybe socially conscious, whatever it is, whatever beat it is that I'm thinking about. Would you say, because I know you're... The music video that always sticks out to me when I think of the Revies is the one where you guys are in Venice beating up the Trump pinata or the doll or whatever. What song is that called again?
That's Heartwoken.
Okay, that is Heartwoken.
Oh, yeah, that is Heart.
Cool.
That's the one.
Donning it. Yeah. And badass tattoo. So are most of your I obviously I don't understand the Spanish lyrics that you guys have. Are most of your like is your inspiration for writing lyrics and music? Because obviously you're somebody who went for a PhD in public policy. You care deeply about this stuff for whatever reason. Are you driven by that impulse to write music, or do you separate those things in your mind like, no, I'm just trying to rock and roll? Because you seem to write very socially conscious, socially aware lyrics, at least in that context. You know, is that your Is that your thing? Is that your
drive.
MO? Or yeah.
I feel it's sometimes like hard to write. I mean, I'm sure you've like faced this kind of, because you also write very socially conscious
Yeah.
lyrics. It's hard to kind of write politically minded lyrics without being like seeming like you're preachy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Stuff like that.
Yep.
You just want to make like a little bit of an expression of that thing that is just kind of
Yeah, and I don't think you're, by the way, at least in my opinion, having listened to Heartwoken and you're having seen you guys a handful, if not a couple handfuls of times. I don't ever hear explicitly political stuff, and I wonder how you feel about this, because people often tell me, "Dude, well, that's obviously a political song, right?" I'm like, no, actually, I understand how you might think that, but actually, to me, it's more. I'm sort of looking out at society. It's more like socially.
trying to be socially aware
Something
of
like that.
what the environment you're living in.
Yeah, and it's not for a point that I write it, so I don't know how you might differ on this as a lyricist. Like, it's not like I look at something and go, I need to prove a point.
Yeah.
It's just I think about that stuff all the time, and that's what comes out onto the page, stream of consciousness style, free association, and then maybe I edit it later and make a little bit more sense. How do you feel about that? Because I know the video for Heartwoken is, again, beating up a Trump doll, and like, look, our Build a Wall, well, it's a song called Build a Wall, and that one obviously has a bunch of allusions and allegories to everything that was going on, which ironically that was written as an anti-Trump supporter song, not an anti-Trump song, but the annoying people who doggedly, which is how a lot of people see me, who doggedly defend Trump no matter what. He can do no wrong. Do you see like the lyrics that you write as being politically conscious or politically intentional in a certain way, or do you do the same maybe along the lines of what I do, which is just like, nah, I'm always thinking about this stuff. I'm always looking at it. This is kind of how it bleeds over naturally,
I think probably more like the second,
Yeah.
unless I'm like trying to tell like some kind of a story. Like we have a song called Bang Bang.
Yeah.
And that song is sort of like the inspiration for it, it's not a good one, but it's Chapo Guzman, and like at the end of the day, I was like, when I was writing it, I was thinking about
The inspiration is what?
Chapo Guzman.
Yeah. No, forgive my ignorance, but what is that?
Chapo Guzman, so he was the head of the Sinaloa. He's kind of still the head, but he's been extradited. So usually when
Chapo?
Chapo. Yeah.
That's who you're saying.
El
Okay,
Chapo. El
okay,
Chapo.
okay, okay. I was like,
So
yeah.
El Chapo.
Yeah, okay, yeah. You mean El Chapo?
So Chapo Guzman.
Chapo. Oh, yeah, I know that feller.
You like say tacos and stuff?
Yeah, something about a burrito. Yeah. Okay, right.
And the whole idea behind that is like, again, I guess like it's a little bit more explicit that I'm trying to tell this story of this dude of like, it's almost, it would be a little incoherent or illogical to some people, but the fact that somebody goes through all of that shit, does all this horrible, like, all these horrible things,
Mob
but
boss stuff,
afterwards, like, also risks like his life, his like entire well-being, his standing in society, just to get that, just to attain the glory. And it's just kind of it's like, for what? Like you're gonna end up in a prison cell.
Yeah, right.
So
right.
it's like there's clearly some kind of a motive and incentive that is strong enough for people to actually do shit like that. And that's kind of the stuff that sometimes motivates me to write some of this stuff that is just like.
So it's like character analysis.
Yeah. A lot of this is like people do shit.
Yeah.
And a lot of it, like, even though it may seem illogical to you,
Right.
I think there's often a very, like, maybe you don't understand because you wouldn't have made that decision.
Yeah.
But, like, there's a very clear reason and there's a very clear circumstance. We all have a different life story.
Yeah, it's not totally, beyond the realm of understanding. It can be explained.
And the same thing applies with, like, people who make certain radical decisions, like maybe, let's say, electing Trump, something like that.
Who I didn't vote for the record.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. And I did not as well, for the record.
Shockingly.
But, like, I do think that a lot of applying, like, our moral values on certain... Because morals, like, just have that sort of disadvantaged, that they tend to be very personal. They tend to be very ethnocentric. They tend to be just culture centric.
Right.
It's like what's logical to us is not logical to other people.
Yeah.
So what I've tried to do with a lot of these things is just kind of maybe elucidate on the things that make it more universal for us to act in certain ways and do certain things that often to other people seem like monstrosities.
And picking a character like El Chapo is actually a fascinating character.
He's
study,
like a villain, and a lot of it is just like there are people. Not only that, like the dude is in jail. The dude is gonna rot there and is gonna have like a shitty ass time. Yeah, it's a horrible existence, and yet
thanks, Sean Penn.
Thank you, fucking Kate Del Castillo. Thanks a lot.
In
any case, this guy is still like highly respected by a lot of people, like in the sense that he did what he had to do in order to make his way up into this system that is inherently unjust.
Well, again, I mean, so it's funny that you talk about that, and I'm sure I knew that that's what Bang Bang was about because I feel like we've talked about it before. Just when you said his full name, I was like,
El Chapo.
Who the hell is this? But I was actually listening to. Are you an Oliver Stone fan? Do you know Oliver Stone?
Yeah, I definitely know. I actually went to a screening of what's his fuck, I forgot his Vietnam movie. What is it?
Oh, Platoon.
Platoon.
Yeah.
I went to a screening of Platoon and Oliver Stone was there.
Really?
Some questions after. Yeah. It was amazing.
That's awesome.
This
in
is
LA?
the kind of things that you can do in LA.
In LA, right.
Yeah,
okay,
LA.
yeah. Where'd you go? Where do you remember where it was?
LACMA.
That's awesome.
It's probably LACMA.
So I was actually just listening. I don't know if you were a Rogan fan or all, but Oliver Stone was just on Rogan today.
I've heard a couple of Rogan stuff, but
it's good, man. I mean, it's
I like. I mean, he's brought on like David Packman.
He brings on a shit ton
of people who are pretty interesting.
A bunch of people I disagree with, a bunch of people I agree with, but either way, Rogan is just like, dude, I smoke weed, and I'm interested what you
tell
think.
Me about like
tell me about blah. So Oliver Stone is on, and he was talking about making or writing Scarface, which he wrote but didn't direct.
He wrote Scarface?
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that. Right?
I did not know
that.
Yeah,
so Oliver Stone wrote Scarface, and he was talking about Tony Montana, the character. He's like, look, originally when this movie premiered, the only people who came to see it in New York and L.A. with its sort of limited release, because apparently they went over budget, so that cut into their marketing, blah, blah, blah. The only people who really came to see it were blacks and Hispanics for whatever reason, and then whites who were doing drugs or whatever. And Oliver Stone was like, the reason that this is an interesting guy to make a movie about is because, yes, while he's done all of these horrible things, he also kind of personifies freedom in a certain way. And that I feel like it's just weird that I was literally listening to this podcast right before you got here. And I'm like, oh, that kind of resonates, because what's fascinating about an El Chapo character is, again, yes, he is responsible for some horrible shit. But at the same time, he views it as like, look, I'm going to get mine, and I'm going to go and like, this is what I have to do to maintain, like, I'm going to live my life the way I want it.
Yeah.
I'm not excusing, bad things or whatever, but I am saying, like, there's a reason those characters are compelling and fascinating.
Exactly.
You know? I mean, the movies that are going to be made about him and already have been made about him are going to be fascinating, just like the movies made about Tony Montana. You don't get to that position without being one of the world's most interesting people.
And same applies for Sicilian Mafia, for Ndrangheta, for Yakuza, a bunch of those groups. Like, what they have done cemented their position in a society that at some point was inadequate, in a government that was based on, like, an elite, and that wasn't really willing to negotiate the same way venues aren't willing to negotiate with us.
Oh, shit.
Bringing it all back. Is that these guys were like willing to fuck shit up, willing to make things uncomfortable for them. And then afterwards they were just like, oh, wait. You can be part of the club.
Yeah.
Like, we'll, let's just talk this shit out. And that's exactly the type of system that Mexico has.
Yep.
That it's just like, you can be part of the club. Like, let's just, if you accommodate to certain things,
Yeah.
that's exactly how the PRI used to operate up until, 2000 when they were defeated. It was just it was a giant pyramid scheme.
Yeah.
And it was, if you were able to weave your way into it,
Yeah.
you could also be part of the pyramid.
Beg, steal, or borrow.
Yeah.
You got to get in one way or the other, though.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's,
Exactly.
well, I mean, that is, it's funny. It's, sort of the American system for all of its flaws. The reason that it sort of appeals to me as, I moved out west to a place where I was just like, all right, I'm going to jump into the shit. And I think LA is largely the shit in the positive and the negative sense, actually, because to me, I'm like, okay, that's a place where I can fight tooth and nail. And, you really got to be willing to do what you got to do. Again, El Chapo, Tony Montana, murdered a lot of people. So we're not saying that, but there is a sort of application of the spirit to those people where it's like you are an autonomous being and you are going to secure your position, whatever it takes. And I really like that spirit. I mean, I have been meaning to actually spend time in Mexico for a long time. I don't know how you feel about Jesse Ventura, but he's a very strange guy in that he was governor of Minnesota.
He was governor of Minnesota. Of all fucking places.
Of all states. Hey, the Midwest isn't that bad, man. It's where I'm from.
It's not that
Some
bad.
of those people are nuts.
It is a little bit odd that Jesse Ventura
Of all people.
was the governor
Of all people. And he's now got a spot down in Mexico where he lives months out of the year because he goes, look, these are hardworking people who leave me alone.
Yeah.
And I don't get that treatment in
It's
America.
a libertarian's paradise, to be honest.
It kind of is, isn't it?
In a way, yes, it is.
How so?
But, like, I wouldn't be super proud of that. Just, like, the thing is, like, in Mexico. So, actually, we had this debate, like, with my family.
Yeah.
I was talking with my mom and my brother.
Because they're born in Mexico, moved to the
Well,
States?
my brother is like obviously not Carlos, Andre. He's my younger brother.
Okay.
And my mom, she actually was born, in Mexico. She's
Right.
full Mexican.
Okay.
She came here with my dad.
Yeah.
And now she's like, she manages a clinic that my dad runs.
That's great. What kind of clinic?
It's like a family clinic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For health or?
Yeah. My dad's a doctor, and my mom's a doctor too, but she's
I
not
wasn't sure if it
licensed
was
to
like
practice.
mental health or
Yeah, I don't know. It's actually family. So right now they're
Awesome.
getting fucking hammered
Yeah.
with like all this
Yeah.
COVID shit. Anyway, it's real. Anyway, what I mean was like when we were talking about it, we were talking about the George Floyd protests and stuff, and we were talking about like,
Who's that?
this
Don't play along with me on that joke. You'll get fucked.
I have a reputation to uphold. Well, it's yours is out the window.
Mine's gone, man.
Anyway, what we were talking about is like, what were we most scared of, Mexican cops or American cops?
Yeah.
And like my younger brother, he was just like, oh, Mexican cops.
Yeah, right.
They're the fucking worst.
Yeah.
They're just
How much
corrupt.
How much younger than you is?
He's born in 1990, so he's 4 years younger.
Okay, cool.
He's like, oh yeah, Mexican cops, they're worse.
Yeah.
And I was just like, to be honest, like I tense up more with American cops.
Yeah.
And my mom was like, oh yeah, I tense up more with American cops all the time too.
Really?
And it's just like, and why is it like internally searching for the reason why I tense up with American cops?
Yeah.
It's the fact that I feel like there is nothing in Mexico that you can't do without like some kind of status or people or some like money
Little bit of
incentive.
money.
Like most cops in Mexico, when they stop you, even if they're just asking, like I have an episode, like I put it on Facebook actually, where a cop stopped me and like two American buddies, and we're clearly just like surfer dudes.
Is it a video?
Yeah, it's a video.
Oh shit.
And like I caught him on video, and he was just kind of like saying like, if you guys have something, whatever it is, it's in Tijuana. We went to go surf down for the weekend to Baja.
Okay.
And then we just were coming up. Invariably, every time I go down to Baja, every time I go down to Tijuana to surf, I get stopped because I have like American plates, and obviously I look like I do, and they think I smoke a shit ton of weed. Which
is weed like frowned on in Mexico or?
No, it's just like illegal. You know,
It's illegal.
It's illegal. Well, certain quantities is legal, but like whatever. In general, any type of like drug they could stop you for, and they can harass you for it.
Right.
And they know like Americans are scared shitless of it. So then they can just stop people and they can just get like an easy, I don't know, like 500 pesos from them. Yeah, because people would just be like, you know what? I just want to go home. Here you go. Whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
And anyway, so like this is the kind of interactions that I face with with Mexican cops most of the time. I know I always feel like I have an out. I feel like nothing that happens.
When I'm going to Mexico, I'm going with you then because I don't know how to deal with that shit.
It's all you have to do is have pesos, and that's all you got to do.
That's nice.
So all my American
I just
buddies,
don't know what a good bribe is. You know, like is it 500 good?
You would probably go up.
That's
right.
right. Yeah, I was like, here's 2,000.
Go down. Anyway, like or it's just like it's an exchange between like time and just like making their lives difficult or the bribe.
Okay.
So there, for example, I was just like, well, whatever. I'm just gonna stay here. Call the fucking whatever you need to call. I'm just gonna be here. Eventually, he let me go because he knew it was bullshit.
Yeah.
And he was like saying like I took a wrong turn or some shit like that. Whatever. In the U.S.
Yeah.
When I get stopped by cops,
These cops are not to be fucked with.
Yeah. Like it's not that I would want to bribe any cop. I actually would not want to bribe any cop whatsoever. I don't want that kind of interaction with authority.
Right.
It's the fact that you know that any wrong interaction can lead down a path that is like that you will never come back from.
Yeah.
That will pull you into the justice system in a way that, you know, will taint your life forever.
Yeah.
And there's nothing you can do about it. There's unless your fucking like dad's a senator or something.
Yep. If they got you, they got you.
They got you. Mm-hmm. And it's gonna change your life forever. I have you know a friend who like has even at my level, he's a PhD or he's studying to be a PhD. Couldn't get into certain projects because he had an interaction with the police. Certain things like that. And this is like, you know, an upstanding citizen.
Come on.
For the most part.
Come on.
You know, apart from the spring break shit, which doesn't count.
Hey, come on. What happens on spring break stays on spring break.
So like, so my mom and I were on the same page. It's just like, yeah, you just kind of feel like American cops can ruin your life completely in a way that Mexican cops cannot. Like there's nothing you can't bounce back from. And that's why like I feel certain people, especially Americans with their dollar power down there, it's just like there's nothing you can't just like find your way out of.
So you mean it's like basically a libertarian's paradise, which
in a certain
has
way.
Positives and
exactly.
negatives.
If the market agrees with you, which as an American obviously it does because you're down there, you know, then you're good to go.
What's this dollar worth? How many pesos? Oh,
it's
sick.
It's pretty good right now.
Hey, great exchange rate. This COVID shit is
not
hitting Mexico hard, man.
Yeah, I know. It's actually it's been rough. It's been rough for
Mexico. Which it wasn't at the beginning.
It wasn't. It was really weird.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like the government that Mexico has right now is also kind of it's supposed to be on the left, but I would argue it's not.
Yeah, right.
It's just kind of a lot of
center left kind
of. A lot of no, not even like politics in Mexico are a whole lot different from politics in the U.S. You can't apply the same types of labels.
Yeah.
And AMLO, which is the president right now, he's like a little bit off his rocker like a lot of the times. So like he's just been saying all kinds of nonsense and shit, which you might relate to. You know what's on?
Yeah, I say nonsense all the time.
so like
it's actually most of what I say.
So now I feel like reality has caught up to it, and it's been Mexico is just keeps having a rough time.
Yeah, it does.
It's a rough time, but there are like many. Mexico is one of those cases where the people that make the country up are so much more capable and self-aware and industrious than the government that's holding it back.
Yeah, right.
And here it's like the government is just kind of captured by a certain few. And I feel like it's not far behind from the U.S. in a certain sense.
Nah, man. I mean,
it's just more clear.
Yeah, exactly. It's a little more opaque. I tell you what, though, let's take a small recess. Not that I don't enjoy that line of conversation, I sincerely do. And by the way, we could probably talk for 12 hours straight.
Probably,
if we wanted to.
We can keep on going.
So let's take a little break. You heed the penis. that one, not like
not the actual.
Like
the wooden one.
It's from Bali. They like penises in Bali. Don't know why.
It's a sign of reverence.
When we get back, we'll talk a little bit about. I want to know your musical background, man. I want to know what drew you in. I want to know especially the Revies have a presence in Mexico. They have a presence in America. I want to know how those differ. I want to know what your plans are and what you think about, the music industry coming up globally, as it turns out, and in the States. And yeah, man, I'm stoked. Let's play the people a song, whatever song you want me to play.
Yeah, I feel like most appropriate would be. I mean, it may not even be most appropriate because of like all this like
Whatever song you want, man.
political intense.
I'll play anything.
Debate.
If it's just like fuck, shit, I'll play it, man. I don't know if that might give me.
Yeah, probably not. I might
let's do
I might feed you one of the new songs. Actually,
I would love that.
Yeah, I'll feed
Is
you.
it
one
is
of
it
the new-
unreleased?
It's unreleased.
Oh, I would super-duper love that. Yeah,
I'll feed you one. It's
unreleased shit. What's it called?
It's called Illegal.
Illegal.
Ego.
Nice.
Yeah.
Illegal.
You
Okay, cool.
See what I did there?
Yeah. Well, I was like, did I hear him right? Yeah. All right, cool. Well, cheers, man.
Cheers.
We'll be back.
Fired a shot in the dark and hit the enemy. Said all I needed to know was it was him or me. Felt like I looked in a mirror when I saw him bleed. I am a nearly go. You got it, nearly go. You got it, understood, you never ever got it. Yeah. And if you say it loud, you get your ice cream all the time till I'm full. Oh shit, all along thought we were good guys till we're not. I made a clone of myself to carry on the road and put my mind in his head and taught him what he owns. Because I can tell every door demanding what he's owed. Since I am a nearly go. You got it, nearly go. You got it all, but still you never ever got it all. Yeah. And if you say it loud, you get your ice cream all the time till I'm full. Oh shit, all along thought we were good guys till we're not. Fired a shot in the dark and hit the enemy. Said all I needed to know was it was him or me. Felt like I looked in a mirror and I saw him bleed. I pulled the trigger and felt that was the end. If you say it loud, you get your ice cream all the time till I'm full. Oh shit, all along thought we were good guys till we're not. I am a nearly go. You got it, nearly go. I am a nearly go. You got it all, so you never ever got it now.
What's weird is recording on the iPhone. The phone gets off because apparently the encoding algorithm for video and audio on of course on Mac is different than from on Windows because proprietary software. Man. Gotta protect it. Yeah.
You got to.
Yeah. Anyway, boom, we back. All right, so the song we just heard was Illegal, which I don't think I've heard yet.
You definitely have not.
Because, well,
But you
as of
will.
airing this, I will have heard it, but I haven't heard it yet. Have you played it live?
Yeah, actually, we did play
You
that
have.
last show we played before quarantine.
Cinema Bar?
Yeah, it's
Where I
in
would have
the
missed
bar.
it. You wouldn't have played it at the Viper Room when I was there to see you. guys,
No,
right?
no, no, that time.
It wasn't.
It was great though. It actually,
Yeah.
like, a couple of people from West Side, they started doing a whole like mosh pit and stuff. So
At the cinema?
at the cinema,
Oh, that's awesome.
if you can imagine, because it's like a ridiculously small space.
That's a tight mosh pit.
That's a tight
That's
venue.
the tightest mosh pit. Yeah. All right, cool. Well, we're back. So I guess now, like I was saying before, I want to know, why music? Why did you get into? Was guitar your first instrument? Okay, so for instance, for me, I picked up a guitar in the first place to start writing music. I didn't pick it up to do lead stuff. I didn't pick it up because I was like, oh, Van Halen or Tony
Yeah,
Iommi, those are guitarists I want to emulate. I just thought I have these songs in my head that I want to write. I always wanted to write songs, so that's why I picked it up. I started on drums. For you, what's your musical trajectory? I mean, where do you come from?
I mean, I actually only took up guitar, especially in that same sense. That just like, I mean, first off, I thought it just was the coolest instrument. So
Yeah.
So I was just like, I want to do that.
Yeah. How old were
I
you
wanna
when
be
you
that.
started?
I was probably like 17
Yeah,
or so.
okay.
Yeah. I mean, you're much more skilled at guitar than I am. So like, I've never gotten to that. I've never gotten to that degree of ability.
Yeah.
But like, it the same way. Like, it's been enough for me to use as a composing instrument. You know?
Right. So you picked it up for the same reason.
I picked it up kind of like for the same reason, and also because like when I told my brother Carlos, like we are both sort of
who is, by the way, now we should contextualize it. Who is he the bassist?
He's a
now?
bassist.
He's the official bassist.
He's a
'Cause
bassist, yeah.
You guys went through some changes, and
Yeah, I mean,
but he's
Car-
always been on the bass.
Yeah, he's always
basically.
been on the bass. He also does like keyboard stuff and stuff. So
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
and he just kind of was delegated to bass because I had taken guitar. So it's just like, you get that shit.
Yeah,
And he was like, all right.
I'm already playing
I-
guitar, dude. You can pick up a bass though, or drums, whichever.
That is exactly the discussion that took place that shaped decades to come.
Did he start playing it specifically because the Revies was a thing, or you started writing music, or
It was because like I took up guitar first, and then afterwards we were like, we should start a band, and then
Yeah.
it was like, yeah, and I was like, well, we need a bass.
so it started as kind of you guys are obviously a tight unit, right? You
Yeah.
guys. So did it start as
it
like
started as a 3-piece.
okay?
First, at the beginning. So it was just like me, Carlos, and another dude who's on drums.
Yeah. Who's not your current drummer?
No, he's not my guy. He's back in Monterrey in
Okay.
Mexico.
Yeah.
And we started just playing like a bunch of covers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, like we recorded a song more or less around 2007. And I brought in this other dude who's a guitarist who's like a much more skilled guitarist than I am.
Yeah.
And we wrote this song, and it was a shitty song, to be honest. It was not good at all.
Yeah, but it's the first song you wrote.
But it was the first song,
Yeah.
and it sort of like broke the. It sort of broke that barrier you have to writing songs. That first one, and then you were just like, "Oh, I can write songs now."
yeah.
And after that, we just kept on writing, and I ended up being at the beginning. It wasn't even clear. Like we were just like, "Well, I guess I can sing, or we can try to like kind of play the songs that we know, and
Yeah.
I'll like sing." It wasn't actually like, "Oh, you're the singer." I just
Yeah.
kind of like sang because that was like what needed to be done.
Yeah. Right.
And then we were like, "Yeah, we'll do that until we find a singer."
Yeah.
And then
And then you got stuck,
I just got stuck, and then afterwards I just got a little.
which
bit
is fantastic because you have a great voice.
Oh, thank you so much.
Seriously, I mean, you. I had seen you guys a couple times, and I was like, "Word!" And then I saw one show. It was probably the first few shows that I saw you guys play. I saw you guys cover. Been a long time since I rock and rolled.
Oh yeah.
And I was just like, shit, man. Like, no, seriously, I mean, most people who cover that, you have a rasp, you have a gravel to your voice.
Mm-hmm.
Do you do that deliberately? Do you? Why do you have that?
I feel like it came afterwards. Like the
like, is it a function of you trying to hit higher notes or sing louder, or is that's just how you sing?
maybe, I mean, people say like I just have a natural raspy voice. I don't know if that's the way that it's always been,
Yeah.
but like, it's definitely like based off of my influences, like the stuff that I used to listen to the most. Like I liked, my first great musical influence was obviously the Beatles. And
That's not obvious to me, but I'm happy.
what
you
was
said it,
yours
yeah.
actually? What was your first like big
I can't even say it, dude. Green Day.
Green Day?
Yeah.
Wow, it's a really good one though.
I mean, I think they're good, but they definitely come from. I come from a school of before I got into classic rock. I come from like pop punk and like punk shit, kind of.
Dude, I was infatuated with Blink 182.
Yeah, I was a big Blink fan too.
At some point, I was just like, I am the biggest fan of Blink 182, and from this point forward, I made a pact to myself: Blink 182 is my number one band.
Yeah.
For the rest of my
Did you
life.
were your parents' influences on you musically? Any of your friends? Or?
Yeah, my dad was like a big Beatles fan.
Yeah.
Beatles. Lots of people in Mexico who just love the Beatles.
Yeah.
Like actually, little known fact.
Yeah.
If you look at, go to Spotify and look at where most streams for the Beatles are, and number one above the U.S. is Mexico.
Really?
Yeah, for some weird ass reason.
Weird.
Not even accounting for like the actual population.
Right.
It's just like number one streams are from Mexico.
No shit.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not terribly surprising, only because the Beatles were one of the first bands to, I feel like, have that like super global international reach,
Yeah.
So were there like, okay, so I don't know if I could say this for me, like Green Day was one of the first. I'd been listening to whatever, man. The first two albums I ever bought,
Dookie.
believe it or not, no, they're more embarrassing. It was Smash Mouth's Astro Lounge, the one with "Hey Now You're an Odd."
Oh yeah, classic. You could play to any song.
Ooh. And then the second one was Backstreet Boys, Back in Blue. Yeah.
Not a bad.
That's the nicest term you can come up with. Well, I was like 12 or whatever, and I was like, I want that one, But then when I got into music, Green Day was really a band that freed me up to think like, oh, wait, you can say fuck.
Yeah.
You can
You can do cool shit.
exactly. You can be loud and kind of raw, and a lot of punk fans would be like, they're not punk, man. And it's like, yeah, whatever. But to me, they were at the time. So were there artists to you where like, for me, I would have never thought, okay, I want to play drums, I want to play guitar, any of that. I just liked music, and that was the one where I was like, okay, I can be that to me is describing kind of what I want to do.
Yeah.
With the whole like, dude, I just want to hit the fucking thing and I want to sing, words that I believe in or whatever. Were there bands or artists for you where you were just like, dude, I gotta
get
pick
on
up
that.
a guitar.
Yeah. So funny enough, when the first time, like, I loved music and it was kind of a really I don't know, like an early on thing for me that I actually was deep into like Beatles songs for some reason.
Yeah.
Like I was in third grade and I was on my fucking Walkman.
Damn.
And the first song that I heard that blew me away was I Am the Walrus.
Yeah.
And I heard I Am the Walrus and I was like, I don't fucking get it. But like this is something that I want to
Like resonates with
I
you.
want to do more with. Like I want
Yeah.
to like dive into somehow.
Yeah.
So like I listened to I Am the Walrus like fucking 20 times nonstop over and over.
No shit.
And at that point it was just kind of like I knew that there was something special about it.
Yeah.
And funnily enough, the first time as like that I actually felt the compulsion that I needed to play was I moved to Mexico when I was in 7th grade.
Yeah.
No, 8th grade.
Yeah.
And
Your family moved there? Or?
yeah, my family, except for my dad who stayed, he's a doctor in Texas, so he
Right.
just like stayed there.
Yeah.
So the whole entire family moved, and I was like, I had just moved on to 9th grade, so I moved on to high school,
Yeah.
and I started school there, and one of the first days, there was a shitty band that played, and they played like Green Day covers and stuff, and I remember like thinking like, that's so fucking cool. Like, and I could do that because it sounds like
that-
shit.
that was the thing. It's like I could do that exactly. It sounds like garbage. I'm pretty sure I can accomplish
sound like
that.
garbage and like look cool and stuff. So I was just like, yeah, why wouldn't I? So I went back home. I took a shitty guitar that was there. My dad had like this small acoustic guitar, and I started learning. And Carlos, like who we shared a room for like our entire childhood. He was just like, oh, why would you learn? Can you teach me that? And I was like, yeah. So we were just kind of like learning riffs all together. And then before that, actually, that was like the heyday of MTV. That was when you would see like the top 10 and shit like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it was actually good music.
Yeah, it was fun, man.
It was so
good
great.
Shit. The music videos were fun. The music was raw, man.
The first like modern music album that I bought wasn't even like from any band. It was the soundtrack for The Matrix.
Oh, Chemical Brothers?
There's Chemical Brothers in there. There was
all the songs that were
all of them. Huh. So like, and the one that my brother and I used to listen to like nonstop was "Wake Up" by Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah, dude, Rage is
amazing.
Yeah.
So we like heard it and we were just like, we actually, because it was called "Wake Up," we had this alarm clock. We thought we were super cool, and we were just like, "Oh, dude, let's wake up." So we would just like set it.
Dude, I have a dope.
It's just like fucking 6:30 a.m. hit. Wake up. So that sort of shit, like, kind of like got us stirred up. We both obviously shared that thing. My brother and I are super close. So like when I started doing it, like, you know, taking up the guitar, he started taking up the guitar, and then afterwards we watched. Like I remember The Thing. I think there was one point when I was just like, yeah, this is it. Is we watched like you remember there was like MTV series was called The Road Back Home.
Oh
yeah, and it was won by Blink-182.
Yeah, definitely.
And it was great. Like it showed like them going back to their hometown and people just
they
being
went to like their high school.
Mark
Hoppus was with his principal, who was just like, you know, you were a pretty troubled kid. And he's like, for sure. Anyway, this is my first grade class.
And like fucking Tom DeLonge's talking about like how he got drunk in his like prom and got expelled and shit like that. So like I was like, man, that's so fucking cool. I want to do that exact same thing.
Badass,
That's
so funny that you came up on like pop punk shit. And I did too.
So at that point we were just like, dude, let's start a band. All we need is 3 people. Right? Mm-hmm. So we got like other buddy, he was on the drums. I was like, so we started playing a bunch of pop punk shit. And
just covers, or you write your own stuff?
We did like covers at the beginning.
Because I want to learn how to like, you know. I want to play that.
I want to just play. I want to feel cool.
Yeah, exactly.
And that shit was cool.
And girls like this stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Like if I play my own shit, that's not gonna get me in a relationship. So like we did that, and we started playing a lot of Chili Peppers stuff too.
Hell yeah, I love the Chili Peppers.
Yeah,
they were actually one of my, like when I started getting into a little bit beyond like the pop punk stuff. Chili Peppers were one of the first bands. Actually, probably By the Way, my dad had it.
Dude, By the Way is an amazing, like, if anybody is actually listening to this, probably nobody is.
At this point, not me.
But By the Way, it's one of those albums that I recommend listening from like start to finish, because there's so many gems in that album beyond like the singles that you
Can't Stop is an amazing single in my opinion.
Yeah, it's a great single. Like when I heard it too, I was just like, I remember hearing it before it was a single and thinking like, how the fuck is this not a single?
Right. Well, I was 16 or something when Stadium Arcadium came out, which is still my favorite Chili Peppers album, even looking back on things. Which I love Blood Sugar Sex Magic. I love Californication, by the way. I actually like the one with Dave Navarro. I'm blanking on the name.
Oh yeah, Mother's Milk.
No, Mother's Milk was earlier. Dave Navarro was on. He's on the one with Aeroplane and.
That's Mother's Milk, isn't it?
No, Mother's Milk was before. Mother's Milk was with Hillel, a guy named Hillel. He was on guitar before Frusciante. And then there's one with, it might be called Aeroplane. Man, we'll find it after. If my phone wasn't the camera.
I'm almost 100% it's Mother's Milk.
What do you want to bet?
We could do a shot or something.
Well, we're both gonna win in that one. All right, fine. I'll bet you a shot. I think it's called something else, but either way, there's that one. There's Californication, which I love. There's By the Way, which I love. They have a number of albums. Which, by the way, Frusciante's apparently back.
Yeah. And then coronavirus took took it. We were actually
There it goes.
my brother and James, the drummer.
Yeah.
We were all talking about going up to Boston, and Keith too, like our cellist. We were talking about going to Boston because there was going to be that Boston Calling
Big old
show.
show. Yep.
And it's going to be like, Red Hot Chili Peppers,
Dude.
Rage Against the Machine,
Yep.
and Foo Fighters. It's like a millennial dream, wet dream.
Did you sell your tickets or no?
I didn't even buy tickets at that point. Like, we were just kind of ready to go. We were like, yeah, this is happening. And then this shit, like...
I had a buddy who, his parents bought him, like, front row tickets. He's from a fairly good family. His parents bought him front row tickets for his birthday because those are, like, 3 of his favorite bands.
Yeah.
And then everything hit, and he's like, dude, I don't know if I should sell these or not. I'm like, dude, I'm going to be honest, you probably should. I hate saying that because that would be an amazing concert. He's from the East Coast, too, so
Yeah,
he's got his roots out there. Yeah, man, that really sucks. Well, anyway, so on the beginning, so the Revies just started as kind of a family, just like, let's
Yeah, it was like a keep it in the family, like type of cover band. And then afterwards, like, we wrote that first song, and then we were
So
like...
why did you write what inspired you to write your own music?
So to be honest, it was like this contest that they have in Mexico called Rock Campeonato.
Yeah.
It's like rock championship or some
Okay,
shit.
yeah.
It's like hosted by Telcel, Carlos Slim, like whatever.
Oh, shit.
One of his many fucking billions
Yeah,
companies.
businesses, yeah.
So they just kind of dangle that fucking carrot and they're just
Hey, all
like,
y'all come out.
write a song
Yeah,
and then you may become famous. And
Yeah.
then we're just like, yeah, let's do it.
That's awesome.
So we did that and we wrote it and we were just kind of like looking into the results and seeing like if we had won. Obviously we did not because it was a shit song.
Yeah.
And at that time we were just like, I can't believe it.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I thought this was gold.
Yeah.
And well, we didn't win, but
Did you, when you were that young, were you like, dude, we have great chances? We can do this.
Yeah, I thought we did. Like, it was the first time we ever hit a recording studio.
Yeah.
And
Where'd you go? So did you do it by yourself?
No, it was just like some dude like I found online at the time, and he was he was really bad. Like whatever the fuck he was, he just had a recording.
Yeah, he's got a couple microphones.
Yeah, and he was just like, "All right, there's your track."
Yeah.
And we were just like, "What? Are you not gonna like do something to it?" And he's like, "No."
No, it's all raw.
Or he was just like, "Do you want me to do something?" And we were just like, "I mean,
We wouldn't mind.
we would. I don't know.
Wouldn't be the worst thing.
So like, yeah, we just kept the track, sent it in.
Yeah.
Nothing happened, obviously.
Yeah.
And then, but we just kept on playing in the local scene. Obviously, like
Local scene in Texas?
In Monterrey,
In
Mexico.
Monterrey, okay.
Yeah.
I would do the roll if I could.
Yeah.
Monterrey?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll leave it.
Try it at home.
Yeah. Hey, folks, here's a fun thing for you to do. Double R.
Anyway, so after that, we just kept going. We just kept writing songs and recording them.
So what inspired you to keep writing after? Because I know a lot of people who, and there's a lot of fear among people I meet who are from LA, and maybe it's because you're not, I don't know, but among people who are from LA, I see a lot of people, they play a show or two, they don't go as well as they thought, they built up something big in their minds, and they don't give up, but they get really discouraged. You know? Why not get discouraged by that? Why keep writing music?
I think like it became some sort of a like beyond trying to prove something or beyond trying to be like successful in musician terms. It was just something that like we realized we just enjoy to do like viscerally. You know?
Yeah.
Like we actually. As a band, like loved writing the songs and then going on stage and playing them, and felt like pretty amazing to actually have stuff of our own that we played and that people would like sing along to or something like that. I'm sure you know that feeling where you're just like,
dude, it's driving me nuts to not be able to do it.
Yeah. So so that kind of thing was like a drug.
Yeah,
it was.
It really is.
It became addictive.
Yeah,
and it was just like after that. There's a couple of times where you often feel like, what's the use? It's just like so fucking hard.
Yeah.
There's nothing, like, it's just like all investment. Yeah. I'm putting in all this like time and energy and like money.
What's the payoff?
There's no payoff, but at the same time, like the payoff, I guess, that you get is almost like you just get to do something that.
Well, it's also those 1 in 10 shows that, and hey, look, for people who are luckier than maybe me or maybe you, I don't want to speak for you, but you know, where you get that show where you're just like, the crowd was good, the response was like, it's just the electricity of when you're, to me, I'm just like, the biggest thing I miss about the, you know, coronavirus stuff and whatnot is like, man, I really just miss the human experience of just like, look, let's just, everything else, set it aside for a minute. I'm going to play some loud fucking shit. And you guys are having a good time.
Yeah, you guys are there.
Oh, cool.
Actually,
oh, wait, we're all like, they're giving you energy, you're giving them energy. It's a feedback loop. It just gets bigger and bigger, and it feels better and better. You know, I mean, I remember that. I thought that Viper Room show you guys did for was it the Heartwoken release?
Maybe it was.
Yeah,
it was.
It was a little bit ago.
Yeah.
It wasn't that long, but like we said at the beginning, time doesn't mean anything.
It doesn't at this point. It's
Out the
not. It's
window.
not a dimension that matters at this point.
I remember just seeing that you guys were feeling yourselves, the crowd is feeling you. Okay, you know, it's great to see that from the audience perspective as a musician. Those are the things that remind me that just like, man, this is an important experience, and this is what drives me nuts about all the bands trying to be like, yeah, let's do Zoom, let's do an Instagram thing. It's like, man, hey, look, I'm all for support.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't feel the same thing. Like, I don't, for as much as I am competitive and I am, you know, I want to succeed and all that, I can't get the same feeling, man. When I show up in a venue and the band's killing it and the audience is feeling it, I'm just like, oh, man, I've seen that with you guys.
Yeah.
Like, and that, I miss it, man. I remember George Carlin, one of my favorite comedians, starts one of his comedy specials with, it's actually, I think his special might be called Why Do I Do It? Or Why Do I Keep Doing It? And he's just like, it's a drug. And he goes on stage. Yeah. Like, I love that. So when you guys started playing, did the live element factor into why you guys started playing? Or?
I think so. Yeah. Like there was like a certain infatuation with like the I don't know, the immediate feedback you get from just people like bouncing to your frequency.
So satisfying.
Yeah. And like it doesn't even matter at that point. It doesn't matter like any other shit that you have done. It doesn't matter if like people found it like good, like as like musically or whatever. If at that point like you actually get people off, it's like that.
Absolutely.
It's like that, you know, the Almost Famous is just like, I find the dude who's not getting off and I get him off.
Get him off.
And I get him off.
Absolutely.
You know, that sort of thing. Like when you're in it, there's just like almost nothing else that exists.
Yes, exactly.
And that's like a rare thing to have. Like, I feel like, you know, that dude who climbed fucking El Capitan without a rope or whatever, like he had that feeling.
Had the same experience.
There's just like that's it.
I
That's
agree.
all that exists.
Yeah.
He has to get up that thing because otherwise he's gonna die.
Yeah.
Like we maybe don't have those stakes, but at the same time, like it is something where it's just like it makes you forget about everything.
Yeah.
And it's so just liberating, and it's like like an emotional experience with like people that you share something that you created and that you're like kind of expressing to them, and they actually vibe with.
Yeah, it's also like primal to me. You know, it's yes, I do put a bunch of, you know, cognitive effort into writing the songs or whatever. I think about the lyrics, I think about the chord changes, I think about the drum parts, blah blah blah. But it is, once you really just play it, and you know, it's cathartic live, and it's just the experience of like, look, we're just connecting over this. How do I say this without being a super hippie? Like, sounds are frequencies, and we're all vibrating to the same frequency.
Yeah,
That's about as hippie as it can get.
I mean, but you sort of like I remember there was one show at Harvell's where I was just like, I mean, you guys were doing your thing, and then like the crowd was doing theirs, and it was sort of like a weird interaction where it was almost like a harmony, you know, that was happening with that vibration, and you just kind of like, you have no choice but to kind of sing into it and just like go along with it, and that sort of thing. It's almost like it's hypnotic, you know.
It's incredibly hypnotic. I was going to say meditative, but hypnotic is synonymous with that, I guess.
Right.
Yeah, like it is one of those experiences that you don't get to get anywhere else, and that is, I think, one of the things that really bothers me about modern times is a lot of people rely on that, look, I think everybody should work to be at a place in their lives where they find their own way to achieve that kind of meditative, hypnotic feeling where you can just take hour a day, or maybe a couple times a week, whatever it is for you, whatever you need, where you can detach and you can say, okay, I'm me, I'm alive, this is the world, and for a moment I get to have what's mine.
Yeah.
And when you're in that environment, it's almost a collective way to do that, and I'm, as a person, particularly averse to group interactions, just as a consequence of who I am, actually. Not the nature, but yes, as a consequence.
Same here,
yeah, right. Yeah. And it's that's one of the only environments where I'm just like, dude,
just let loose.
Fucking cheers, man. And that's I fucking love that. I miss it, and I do kind of worry, man. That communal aspect is very important to being alive, and I worry, dude. I know the virus is real and everything, but I do. Well, I mean, I worry.
I know, it has hit you particularly hard.
Yeah.
It's hit me particularly hard too.
Yeah. Imagine.
But I guess at the same time, I guess you maybe think of the delay of some of those pleasures, and you're thinking, man, when that first show comes up, it's gonna be fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And it's just gonna be something unreal.
Everyone's looking forward to it.
Everyone's looking forward to it. Everybody wants to just kind of give into it, and I think that's part of the energy that is being transmitted in live music a lot of the times. That it's just that people don't want you to fail. They actually want to vibe with you.
They do.
They come, and that's I think one of the things that in LA, even though it has some sort of a fickle environment and there's a lot of bullshit to deal through.
I shit on it a lot.
Yeah, you get there and people actually want to be there, and when they want to be there, there's an energy that's already put at your disposal, and you do what you want with it.
Yeah, it's like a groundswell kind of.
Yeah. And it just makes it all so worth it. I think that's why we keep doing it. Honestly, it's a drug that permeates.
Absolutely. I mean, so for you guys, the Revies, have you guys found that? And I've found this with a couple of bands. I've talked to some friends, and they've had trouble managing bands because look, life is not normal right now. Personally, for the Absurd, we had plans to tour in 2020. Blah blah blah. We knew kind of what we wanted to do, and that was all put on hold.
Mm-hmm. Understandable.
Yeah, and for you guys, have you found what are you guys planning? How are you guys adapting? And we were talking, full disclosure, a little bit about this off camera before, but you guys have some songs that you recorded that you're thinking about putting out, but even we were both saying it's not necessarily the same as being able to put it out, play a show, be like, fuck yeah, we released a goddamn song that we put our heart and soul into, How are you guys dealing with it?
It's been rough.
Yeah.
We actually put out a single at the same day a lot of the protests broke out.
Yeah.
And obviously we're hugely sympathetic to those protests, so we were just probably not the best day to put out a single, but we just did it.
Well, but you put it out not knowing that was...
Yeah, no, it was programmed weeks before.
That's what I mean, yeah.
And life just takes a different turn, and you just accept it and you roll with the punches.
Yeah.
Apart from that, I think it's just we've been at this for, the Revies started in 2007.
Yeah.
It's been over a decade.
Jesus.
Yeah. So we at least
what does the name of the Revies mean, by the way?
So we started the band out. When we started the band out, it was called Revies.
Okay. Revies.
Yeah, Reves was the original name.
Okay.
And then when we were we're gonna switch over to the US.
The States.
Yeah, but people are not gonna know how to say that shit. So we're gonna be
you're right, by the way. We would have all said Reeves.
Reeves or something like that. We're just bastardized the whole entire name. So we're just what's that nod to it? And it kind of sounds kind of cool because it's Revies, like small revolutionaries, insignificant.
Is that what it means, or
maybe let's just take.
Well, I don't know. Does it have a Spanish like the
There's no-
REVES? Does that have a Spanish meaning?
No, it has no Spanish meaning.
Okay.
It's just like a thing.
So you guys made up a word.
We made up a word.
It's badass.
And we were just like, yeah, Revies sounds good. Okay, let's do that.
Okay.
And
I love that, dude.
yeah,
That's badass.
That's kind of how it came about.
Oh, I love that.
And it was like around 2009, 2010.
Okay.
And then we just kind of stuck with it. But like over time, like the industry has changed so much.
Yeah.
We've like recorded over and over, and we've done like this thing where we just think, maybe something will come like beyond, our own investment, and then it'll just kind of take off.
Yeah.
Where like people will like maybe pay us to actually do it. But like, obviously, yeah, for any indie band, that's kind of just the dream. And then we just kind of slowly realized, like, if it happens, it happens, and if it doesn't, that's fine, because we just want to keep doing it regardless. Yeah. And like along the way, we found James here, who's an amazing drummer.
Yeah.
We found Keith, who's like an amazing cellist.
Yeah.
And we've been able to make like music with them that we would never have thought possible.
Yeah.
So like a lot of these things have just kind of been like, we want to just keep doing it because of the pleasure of making music. And if something comes of it, good, that's the reward in and of itself.
Yeah.
The music.
So it's purely for you guys. It's purely we love to do this shit.
At this point, it has to be. You know, I feel like there's no other way. I mean,
well, was it ever? Forgive me for interrupting, but was it ever a? Okay, no, we're fighting for a record label. We're fighting for a record deal, blah blah blah. And did it at some point become just like, all right, fuck that shit. We're just doing
for
it
sure.
love it, or was it?
So like,
I don't know your story.
When we were in Monterrey in 2000. So, like, we played in Monterrey hardcore 2007 to 2010. 2010 is around the time when the drug war hit, like, super hard in Monterrey. So, like, a lot of venues started closing. A lot of, like...
Thanks, Bush.
a lot of venues started going down.
Yeah.
And, like, the scene just basically closed out. So, a lot of this...
Because who would want to have fun?
Nobody. Nobody. So, like, at that point, we were just like, well... There's nothing to do here. Like, we just, everything's dangerous. There's like maybe house parties and shit like that. At that point, Carlos was just like, well, I'm gonna, go study something to at least make some money.
Yeah,
right.
right.
And then I was just like, I guess like I will too.
Man's gotta live.
Man's gotta live. Yeah. So that's when I went to go do like my master's degree.
Yeah.
Came back and during this whole time we had just recorded. When I came back, it was like 2012. So I went to France for like 2.5 years. And I just lived there.
What?
I did a master's degree there.
In France?
In France.
Where?
In Paris.
What the fuck? I didn't know that.
Yeah, so
did I know that?
Probably not.
I don't think I did.
I don't know. So I was in Paris for 2.5 years. I just like
international man over there.
I actually played some music over there. It was like quite good, but France is not very it's not very amenable to rock and roll.
Yeah.
As much as you would expect. Anyway. So, like, I came back and I was like, dude, I have all these songs. I want to record them and shit. So we did that. We found a record label. The record label kind of just pissed us off. And that's around the time that I came to LA because it was just like, this is just nonsense.
So you came
around that time. When I came to LA 2014.
Okay.
Around that time was when we just already all realized, like, or at least like Carlos and I, which were the nucleus of the band.
Yeah,
we were just like, something happens, it happens. If not, let's just keep writing music. Like
that's the right way to do it.
This is what we like to do. This is like he had songs, I had songs. We wanted to record them. We wanted to see them like to fruition.
Yeah.
And that's what we did. And then when we found other bandmates and people that actually wanted to hear them and like when we played them live that it resonated to some degree, we just would keep on doing that. Yeah. But it's often like it's a very almost like hedonistic thing because we would just be like, whatever fucking feels good, let's just fucking do that.
Fuck yeah.
Because like apart from this, financially doesn't make sense, emotionally doesn't make sense. Musicians are the most unstable emotional people, as you know. We move around. We often don't know what we want. Yeah. Whatever.
Capricious.
We're capricious individuals.
Yeah.
So we would just keep on doing whatever it is that we felt like we just had to keep doing.
Yeah.
And that's how we just ended up here.
And you still do it though. I mean, and what I love about the Revies is, in contrast to a lot of LA LA bands they have a presence in the city. You guys release music, record music, you make music videos, you still drive at it. Like I don't understand a lot of LA bands who, I won't say the band name, but I had this dude reach out to me the other day to, shit on me or whatever, and he was just like, "Meh." So I went to look up his music, and I played with him live before. No music online. There's nothing available. Like, dude, at least if you're gonna do a band and it's what you like to do, like I like that earlier you said, like, dude, I want to hear that. Actually, it's more like I need to hear this song. I need to hear these songs recorded. I need it like. How would you describe that impulse? Because for me, it is very much a compulsive type of thing to be like, I don't know what it is, but I need to hear this song done the way I want it to be done. I don't give a fuck if anyone else hears it. I mean, I want to share it, but like, I need to hear it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a big part of why I write music, why I make music. Like, I don't know how you feel about that.
I think it's like, I completely resonate with that. Like, I feel like I don't have, like, I have tons of like songs, that I just like shit that I've written. And
well, you're
like,
a songwriter, so presumably you have a graveyard of 300 to 500 songs.
Yeah, more or less.
Don't exist. Yeah.
More or less.
No, it's how it is.
And then, but like songs, I feel like they're just not actual songs until I get into the studio. I get feedback from producers, other bandmates, and other people.
Yeah.
And other people like add their 2 cents.
Yeah.
And like tell me like this is garbage or this is actually really fucking good.
Right.
And then we like polish that thing until it ends up being something that is, an actual song.
Yeah.
I never feel comfortable playing a song before I actually
shop it around.
Before I actually like have it recorded actually. Really? Because like when I record it is like when I feel like ideas are solidified and they like go through the proper scrutiny to where like, yeah, this is exactly how I want this song. Like it's like a sculpture, like if this is exactly how I wanted people to see it.
Yeah.
Whereas before it's just like a rough idea, it's like a rough draft, and it's just like you could play a couple of chords and like sing a couple of melodies to it, and it could still work like a song.
Chuck it out,
Yeah, and people still get off on it maybe if they're high, but like when you do,
I usually am. So I love it.
When you do have a song, it's just like you invested time into like figuring out what melodies work with it.
Yeah.
What are you trying to convey, like lyrics wise? Like, it's just so much of a definitive process, and it's like it stresses you to a good degree. I think. Yeah. That you actually like. I'm recording something tomorrow. Yeah. And before that happened. 4th Street. Yeah.
Are you guys pretty much exclusively doing stuff at 4th Street?
No. This is just hopefully if say.
I mean, it sounds amazing. Seriously, you guys have a good relationship.
It's really good, really.
Really, yeah.
Sergio Navarras he's Sergio from Vikingo. Yeah. He's our producer. He's super great.
Us uncultured whites call it Vikingo.
Vikingo. He really has like jived well with the idea of the band, and I think like he's gotten it to the point where it receives enough scrutiny to where it's not a piece of shit. Yeah. But it also like is not to the point where it suppresses the idea that the band had or that identifies the band.
Yeah, right.
So like I really just enjoy when that process happens, and when we get to this thing where everybody's happy, when we're just like, yeah, man, I feel like this is actually the best manifestation of this song or this idea. Yeah. And that's when I feel like I'm really just ready to play it live. Huh. And just
that's an interesting process because we actually do it almost the exact opposite.
Yeah, you guys shop it around like
we'll go play it live.
I've seen that from you guys.
Yeah, exactly. Where the next time we play the song from the previous time, it's different. It's missing this part or that part, and we will rely on friends like yourself and other friends to just be like, you and almost without us asking, people will come up and be like, that new one, right? And we're like, yeah, and they'll be like, not really. Or they'll come up and be like, I really like it, or whatever it is, and we're just kind of like, okay, what didn't you? And we also have enough musician friends where it's like, if someone comes up and they're like, yeah, it was that part or this part, or whatever. it was too long, or the melody was too bombastic, or whatever it is. Like, I like being able to rely on that. Do you feel like you do the same thing when you record it?
Maybe like I'm actually like kind of a perfectionist.
You strike me as one.
When it comes down to it, like I'm not a perfectionist when
More
like,
before the end?
Sure. But like I'm a little bit of a perfectionist when it comes to like what I want to present to people and what I want them to judge me on. So even like ex-girlfriends and stuff like that, I've often felt like.
Do you write a lot of gushy? Do you write some gushy
Every
shit?
now and then I write
You
some
do.
gushy shit.
You
I
do.
write some
Except for you
gushy
put it
shit.
in Spanish sometimes.
I feel like it's more effective when I write it with the.
Well, yeah. First off, the language is actually a little sexier. Second, then people like me are like, I don't know what this means.
I don't know. You can
I
make-
love this song.
You can make English sound pretty fucking sexy.
Yeah, yes, you can. But the Spanish language, oh god. Well, there goes some whiskey. What the hell was that?
Mm.
Do you want to lick it? Or?
No, you should.
Oh, I can.
Yeah, you can do that.
I'm probably not going to do that. I'll clean it up later.
But like, yeah, I like even when it comes to people that know me,
Yeah.
I've often felt like. So they've asked me, oh, so you guys are writing new songs? Like, can I hear like what you're writing?
Yeah.
And I'll often be like, nah,
Yeah.
nah. Like it's just like you're. Because I know, when people like see something that's unfinished,
Yeah.
and you're like, just don't judge it because it's unfinished.
Yeah, because you go, okay, it's actually unmixed, and like the
every musician does
guitar
this.
we put
Yeah.
in there was actually just a demo.
Yeah,
it'll be re-recorded.
and then people will be
yeah.
like, just fucking play it.
Yeah, just play the song.
And then they'll like listen to it, and like invariably they're gonna judge it, and they'll just be like, but was that the final vocal, or was that the?
See, remember what I was telling you before you listened to the song? No, it's a scratch.
That bass is not gonna stay.
I know it sounds like mud. It's not the final thing. Yeah.
So
I
that-
completely, well, also when you show music to someone for the first time, you want them to be excited.
yeah. So
Just
you,
if you're
so
smart.
you're just kind of like not trying to kind of pressure them, but you're also just kind of like trying to see their micro.
You're gauging exactly. You're
reaction.
watching and just being like,
Yeah.
I saw that eyebrow raise. What did that mean?
I feel like that's just kind of what we do. There's no way around
Absolutely.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So for the most part, then I at this point have decided to just like This is like a fucking like a bunker,
Yep.
and I'll just finish it, and maybe I'll show rough mixes to people.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I will only show like finished mixes.
How do you feel about like albums versus singles, EP versus singles? Like in terms of generating some awareness for your band, your music, stuff like that. I mean, how do you like if you had in an ideal world, how would you release music? Like how do you like to show music to people? Do you feel like albums are dead? Do you feel like singles are it's annoying but that's what you gotta do?
Yeah.
Not to ask a leading question.
It's such a tough question because, like, as musicians, like, I know both you and I, we grew up with albums.
Yeah, exactly.
And, like,
Yeah, I did.
and we were just talking about By the Way, like,
Yeah.
how, like, By the Way has, like, some amazing songs that are not singles. And,
Yeah.
that, you know, people talk about random ass bands and stuff like that because it makes them sound, like, kind of cool.
Yeah.
But it's just, like, and when they say like, oh yeah, I like the Chili Peppers because it's like Can't Stop or whatever,
Yeah.
and it's like, yeah, but do you really like the Chili Peppers? Because it's like, did you actually get into like
Make me one song that wasn't a
that
single.
wasn't
that
a
you
single?
like. Yeah.
So like that sort of thing is the stuff that we lost. I feel when we didn't get the whole album experience, and I fucking love that thing.
Oh shit. Etienne going crazy, motherfucker.
So I actually really enjoyed the whole album experience where you just kind of sat back, took it all in,
I do too.
and then you just kind of, you know,
It's also an hour or less. It's not a long.
It's not a long
even
investment.
movie.
Yeah, it's not a movie.
You just put some headphones on or crank some good speakers, even shitty ones, man. You just enjoy the fucking.
and I think it's like also partly because you know how much of an investment goes into writing any song.
Maybe.
And like something that actually gets into an album you know, it went through the band, it went through the producer,
Yeah.
it went through the mixing, it went through the mastering,
Yeah.
the whole thing.
But what's weird, so I don't know I know you guys have a pretty good social media presence. Are you guys on Bandcamp as a pretty good presence? Or
Not really.
Not really?
Actually, like, our social media presence is kind of shit, to be honest. Like,
I don't think so. But
we started off on this.
what I meant is, yeah. It sucks.
That's another game changer, because, like,
Yeah.
think about it. Like, when we started out, social media wasn't even really a thing.
Right.
Like, there was fucking Facebook.
Yeah, us dinosaurs had to get used to it.
Yeah, we just kind of had to. It's like, these
Yeah.
fucking young people, like,
Whippersnappers.
get off my lawn, but get on my Instagram.
Yeah, stay on there. Stay on. Well, no, I mean, what I've noticed is what's one platform that's, and I've said this on different podcasts, so forgive me, but I've noticed that at least for us somehow, and I think it's because we had advertising, not paid, but some blogs picked us up that actually happened to, as blogs, use Bandcamp as a platform,
Mm-hmm.
which was cool because people can pay for music on, like, people pay for your physical album or the digital download on Bandcamp.
Yeah.
Whereas when they go to Spotify, they just play through it, maybe save it. But the people who use Bandcamp, they're like hardcore music listeners.
Yeah.
And one thing we've had a lot of messages from people on Bandcamp is, thank you guys for, like, taking care to make an album. Like, and that is, look, maybe they're dinosaurs too. Maybe, but these aren't
Likely.
Yes, likely. By and large, though, these aren't musicians. I've always known these people through my life, and these people have always actually confused me.
I swear to God, the only person that has. So we have, like, Bandcamp for Heartbroken, which is our past album.
Yeah.
And the only person who is, like, so we have the optional, like, payment thing.
I'll buy it tonight.
Well, the only person that has bought it is Josh Loney.
Okay, shit.
and it was kind of adorable, because I was just like,
It is.
yeah.
No, but
yeah.
Josh is actually a guy who, I mean, if you look through the things he's bought, there's hundreds of things on there. Like, he actually gives a shit to be like, no, I want to pay. I know this band isn't making a bunch of money. I want to, at least in a small way,
Contribute somehow.
Exactly, show just like, hey man, here's $10. Like, I wish I could give you more. I can't, but, like, I do give a shit to purchase your music.
Mm-hmm.
You put time and money into that shit,
Yeah.
As much as I want to share it, like, and as much as I want it to be shared, I want you to make some money and I want to show it. And that's what I love about the Bandcamp platform. Bandcamp does take a small percentage, but I mean a small percentage.
Yeah.
Compared to, like, these venues. So I was wondering about that. Like, I think some of it is getting maybe, like, press for it or whatever, but we had this one blog that put us on, and we ended up selling like 300 copies of physical.
No shit.
Yeah,
Really?
with no press for this album. Like, just the one, they ended up being like, hey, we like this, we'll share it. Ended up being like, okay, so you can get X number of streams on Spotify, and then they send you a check every 3 months being like, you get $8.37. Woo, thank you. But on on Bandcamp, they actually, like, the money does translate.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I wonder how you feel about that. Do you like the Spotify model? Do you like the YouTube shit?
Well, now that you mention it, probably, like, I'll invest much more in Bandcamp, because I didn't really know about this. But,
If
like,
you could, it's. I mean, it really is the avenues of exposure.
I mean,
sometimes you have to link
the
up.
socialist model that I advocate for.
Yes.
It would be much more.
For bands?
I didn't have to depend. Yeah, of course. It wouldn't have to depend on Spotify.
Politics aside, how much money do I stand to gain from your socialist model?
Oh, significant amounts.
All right, I mean,
Significant amounts.
let's do it. I know I say a lot of shit online, but I don't mean any of it. I'm in.
The truth is, like, Spotify is, like, they have they've just grandfathered themselves in as, like, the predominant model.
They're the new radio.
Yeah, of, like, spreading music. They make money off of playlists. They make money off of bands. They make money off of everybody.
Yes.
Even fucking Cardi B.
Yep.
They make money off of her.
They make a lot
so,
of money
like,
off her.
And if she gets, like, a preferential contract, they're making, like, much more money off of everybody else, who they don't have to negotiate a preferential
Well, because she's
contract.
got leverage.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, like, of course, like, some other model should be viable. It actually like is necessary for bands to stay alive.
Yeah.
But like at this point, we just haven't found it yet. Under this system, we just haven't found it yet. And like the proof of that is like, yeah, dude, we've been on Spotify for, I would say, what, 6 years? We've made like total, like if you check my DistroKid, it's like $90.
Dude, I have I actually have the first royalty check I ever received. Now, I'm not going to get the number exactly right, but it doesn't matter because it's below $2. I believe it's $1.67, and this was before the absurd. I like put some music up, and they like, I think it was like CD Baby or something before I got DistroKid. Which DistroKid is my favorite, you know?
Yeah.
It's just easy, and they take not much. And like, CD Baby, though, they like, congrats, they sent me like a message, you just got a royalty check. I'm like, $1.67. Well, I guess I'll pay my rent and maybe some groceries now. But anyway, we'll wrap up with a final impossible question. Same question I ask everybody, which is stupid question but fun. Basically, first off, thank you so much for doing this, dude.
Salud.
I mean it.
Yeah.
Sláinte, I suppose.
Sláinte.
I feel like I should have said salute to, you know. Anyway,
Why is it sláinte? Oh,
I like
I met you halfway.
right.
Somehow.
Salute and sláinte.
They have something.
They sound so similar.
The first like so
Yeah, weird.
yeah.
Huh. Well, anyway,
I've always felt like the Irish and Mexicans have like a lot of things in common.
Yes, we do.
There was like one.
What gives you the impression
There
of
was
Irish?
there was one comedian that said like, dude, Mexicans are basically like brown Irish people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Yeah, my family history is very Irish. And, they're not exactly keen on the whole authority structure. But anyway, so a final dumb impossible question. Basically, you're going to a desert island. You can only take 5 artists, so not albums.
5 artists.
Yes, musical artists.
Do they have to be alive?
No. No. So I'm saying you can take their library, basically.
Oh, they're
So,
alive.
for instance, if you picked, I don't know, some Satriani, who I'm assuming you wouldn't pick, but anything he played on is good.
Okay.
So you can take those 5 artists to the desert island. So let's say you said, you know, fucking Green Day, you know, Leonard Skinner, which for I don't know why you would, but you know, whoever, you can take all their albums, live albums, blah blah blah. You can't listen to anything else though. So it's kind of like 5 artists you can't live without. You can combine in there 5 artists who have influenced you, whatever. But you only get 5. They can be bands or solo musicians or composers. You pick. So one guy picked fucking Stravinsky, which classical composer.
Yeah,
he's had his hand in a lot of shit. Hey, great, you know. So you can get a couple honorable mentions if you can answer the question because it's a dumbass question, but. Yeah, just 5 artists.
You get 5. You get 5. Though.
You get 5, and you can't listen to anyone else for the rest of your life. So these are the 5 you have to take with you to the desert island. Yeah.
Well, I would say the Beatles to start off with.
That was your first one.
Of course, yeah. Why not? I feel that Chili Peppers have an eclectic like kind of sound throughout their discography, so lump them in there.
Yeah, they've also had such a fucking long career.
It keeps going.
Yeah.
It's the gift that keeps on giving.
Seriously.
So I feel like even while I'm in a desert island, I might just get like somebody might send a new album down.
Dude, and even their shit, absolutely, and that's the thing. I didn't even think about that. If they release new shit,
It just
you can
keeps
still
going.
get it. That's acceptable. And like, I mean, dude, I felt like their album with Klinghoffer wasn't that bad.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, it wasn't
Well,
like traditional Chili Peppers. That
I'm
you
With
hear,
You
but-
was actually, I thought, a really good album.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, I was on a plane, actually, when it came out. I was on a plane to Paris at the time, and I listened to that song, Brendan's Death Song. Have you heard
Nice.
it? Yeah. I listened to it, and I fucking cried on the airplane.
Yeah.
Like a bitch, you know?
Yeah.
I was just like... I was just like...
Men still cry.
I was trying to be my Mexican macho
You're
self.
just like, I'm not.
Yeah, and then I was just like...
Not crying?
Oh, but I can't do this. It was
This
too,
is definitely not me crying.
It was too much, man. It was too much. I was just kind of like hearing it, and it was getting.
That's a good song, man. I mean, it's a good album.
It's such a good album.
It's evocative, man.
Yeah.
It's passionate. It's emotional.
You can tell, like the dudes are bleeding. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So
They certainly are.
they certainly are. Anyway,
Mostly out of this room.
no, for Shanti without a picture.
Oh yeah, very good. Yeah.
They're healthy now.
Oh sure.
So like we got the Beatles, we got Chili Peppers.
Okay.
Jeez, man.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'd lump Blink-182 in there.
All right.
Why not?
Okay. Get that pop punk kind of.
Yeah.
What about them makes you want to? I mean, they have a huge
I think it's mostly, honestly, beyond musical entertainment. It's nostalgia.
kind of like that.
And if I was in a desert island, I would want to revisit nostalgia because it's the stuff that
I think you might be the first person to answer it like that. But that is actually, in my opinion, a great point. It's like, dude, no, I want to revisit like
the times that I actually knew people.
Well, and it goes back to the question that I asked you about, like, what originally got you into writing songs, picking up a guitar, playing music.
Mhm.
Like, Blink was one of the, I mean, aside from the Beatles, Blink was one of the first bands, and it's like, yeah, of course you'd want to revisit that,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good answer. Yeah.
Yeah.
In my godlike opinion. That's a correct answer.
Well, you're the podcast. You're the podcast god at this point. So
I am the god of the podcast.
you determine what goes.
I will accept no bad answers.
You're the censor here. You're probably gonna be like in a backstage booth with Josh and being like, "Yeah, cut that shit out."
Yo, dude. No, I don't edit these, actually.
Oh, nice.
I-
Just go straight out.
Yeah, I'm happy to send it to you if you want me to edit anything out. But
No, not really.
okay, cool.
I'm good. I'm good with what we.
That is your legally
so far.
binding contract, right?
Wait,
there.
I mean, starting this point onward, maybe it's gonna get a little bit raunchy.
All right, so you got Beatles, you got
Chili Peppers,
Chili Peppers,
and I got
Blink-182.
Blink-182.
Two more.
I mean, not to get all like fucking, you know, I don't want to be, fuck, I left the word behind, but it was just like, I don't want to accommodate people at any point, but Ennio Morricone was actually like an amazing composer.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where you would just be watching a movie and you would be thinking like,
What is this music?
yeah, what is this music?
Yeah, okay.
I'm sure you recognize that when somebody actually put some thought into the composition and the hooks and stuff that grabbed you, you would immediately be like, I want to see who wrote that music for that.
Dude, I do it all the time, actually. And like we were talking about earlier, Josh is a movie buff. I am not. But when I'll hear movies that he has on in the background, I'll be like, I'll walk in and I'll just be like, dude,
Who wrote that?
Yeah, exactly. And so I don't know much about Morricone.
Morricone. Yeah.
Morricone. Yeah, I don't.
He did The Mission.
Okay.
He did the music for Cinema Paradiso.
Okay.
A couple of other ones that are just like
Yeah.
iconic movies.
Huh.
But this dude is just like he was
Fuck yeah for choosing a classical motherfucker.
he was the real dude when it came to actually writing songs that kind of resonated in some way and that met the moment of this scene.
Well,
So
it's strange too when you're watching movies. You're like, I know what I'm watching right now, but actually, sensorily, sure that's a word. Like my senses are paying attention to the sound. The song is so good that like mainly I'm paying attention to that.
and I feel like the magic in it is that it's sort of like drawing you in different senses, right?
Yeah.
So it's like normally you would just kind of see the scene and you relate to it emotionally or something, but like the music when it compounds to that, it becomes like so much more powerful.
Yeah.
Like when Ennio did his fucking thing, you would just kind of feel like you can't see the movie in your head without the soundtrack behind it.
Yeah, yeah.
And it just kind of just brings it. It's not even like a zero-sum thing. It's sort of like times 10.
This is a tangential question, and I know we'll get to the last one. But like, do you hear music over everything? I don't know. I kind of do. When I look at things, I just the way I sort of describe it is I hear stuff. You know, not voices, but I just hear. You know, I mean, a descriptive melody.
Voices are frequencies, and you hear frequencies. So I guess like, you kind of do hear voices.
I'm using my own shit against me.
You just got doctored, bitch.
Oh man, well, doctor, tell me your fifth.
Jesus, my fifth. This is gonna be like some fucking trashy shit, like I don't know,
no,
like a Nickelback or no, I'm not really.
Nickelback.
Scratch that.
Wouldn't judge you. No, you're Nickelback though? Is that an influence?
No, that would not be an influence.
I was gonna say, judging by your music, I haven't heard it, but hey, maybe.
No, it would have to be Nirvana.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
It would have to be Nirvana.
Okay, so you got. So let's recap.
Even though it's not like that long of a listening list,
dude. But people say the Doors are one of their favorite classic rock bands. They only have 4 albums, something like that. They were only around for a couple years. Zeppelin made.
I guess like a
albums
close second to Nirvana would be Creedence because I really fucking like Creedence.
Creedence is one of the best ever.
Creedence is, yeah, man.
Dude, Creedence is really good. I mean, Nirvana
is close to my heart, but
that Nirvana actually makes sense listening to how you play and sing. I can hear Nirvana.
But from an emotional.
Oh, I can hear it from Creedence too, dude. Creedence. Whenever people are like Creedence is overrated, I'm like, you haven't listened to him.
Oh yeah, fucking Creedence. I mean, John Fogerty, the dude has a voice that is just like a.
Do you like the Big Lebowski, that movie?
Oh man, it's amazing.
We should watch that.
We should. We'll probably do it after this thing.
Yeah. Dude, there's a scene in there where the cops come over to investigate Lebowski's like stolen, broken card. Cop goes, the cop, his one line in the movie is wouldn't hold much hope for the Creedence stamp.
Oh yeah, he's like a Creedence stamp.
Yeah.
No man, yeah.
What was in the suitcase? Papers. Business papers.
Creedence stamp.
So okay, so you got
I added Creedence maybe as a +1 base, like kind of interchangeable.
No, okay. So you got Blink-182, you got more Morricone.
Yeah. Chili Peppers.
Excuse the pronunciation. Yeah, Chili Peppers.
Beatles.
Beatles. Fifth one
is an exchange between either Creedence or Nirvana.
Okay, cool. So let's say we hold Creedence honorable mention. You got those 5. You want to do like 2 more honorable mentions?
2 more honorable mentions.
You gotta jam them in there, man. They better be good.
This is gonna sound like super fucking weird.
Oh no.
But like I did have kind of an emo phase, and I at some point thought
that's not weird at all.
The Used was like
I saw them live in I can't remember when I saw them with Taking Back Sunday, Jimmy.
Oh yeah, TBS, of course.
Hot Heat, and boy, I don't even remember.
It seems like a pretty fucking good show.
It was an amazing show.
Yeah.
It was in a place called Cobo Hall in Detroit. It's a big motherfucking place, but the stage is actually like kind of compact. Like, yeah, it was great.
Yeah,
they were great. They killed it. Taking Back Sunday actually sucked live. When I saw them, Jimmy Eat World killed it. The Used though kind of brought down the house.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah, man.
Maybe it was just a show.
I really fucking. I was all about the Used. Like when there was like that record that was like what do you call it? Homonymous.
Yeah, it's got that.
What the fuck?
4 a.m. in the fucking morning.
Yeah, that's the one. But no, the one I liked was Made Memories.
Oh yeah,
It's like kind of like screams the fucking intro.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, I was just like, what the fuck is this?
That's a shit. Look, I grew up skateboarding as a little punk, and that's the shit everybody listens to.
Yeah, so like I liked Bert McCracken's voice, and I thought like he was amazing. And I remember my ex-girlfriend, like my girlfriend at the time, she was just like, "What the fuck are you listening to?" And I was
really.
Like, this is just fucking awesome.
That's funny. You do okay. You kind of rasp in a similar way, but your voice is lower, so you don't get lumped in with that kind of genre.
Well, because like Bert McCracken like does this thing where he just kind of like is at the top of his lungs like for like almost like 10 seconds on end.
Yeah.
You know? Like he does a verse in entire.
I think he might have blown out his voice at a certain
Probably, yeah, because like that shit is not healthy at all.
No,
like,
it's not.
I can do it for like split seconds or whatever, but then after that it's like, all right, I'm done. And dude, even like the fucking Zeppelin songs or like AC/DC songs, when I would do them, they would sound amazing for a while, and then I would just be like looking back. I remember we used to have a drummer who actually used to be able to sing.
Oh
and,
yeah.
James doesn't sing, but the other like drummer did. So I would just be like at some point just looking back at him, just like, dude, my voice is gone.
Can you please sing?
Because I can't do it anymore.
That shit, dude, listening to you, I'm just like, dude, I know where he's getting that. In terms of the palette, I know where he's getting that, what place he's getting that sound off of.
and it's tough.
Don't do that too much, man, because that will fucking murder your vocals.
Yeah.
It will.
At some point, like I found like
Because I've done that raspy shit for a long time, and it has killed.
I found
my
like a
guitar.
sweet spot, and like
Yeah,
a
yeah.
little bit behind where it's not like that much in front, where it
Yeah.
scratches the hell out of your vocal cords,
Yeah.
but it's like kind of like a little bit with like chest voice
Yeah.
and like throat voice. You have like right in the sweet spot, and you can maintain it for a while.
Yeah.
But it does have an expiration date.
No, it really does, man, and it scares me because you're a good singer, and so like use it when you need to, but like, dude, preserve your voice.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's
I do it for the people.
let's wrap her up, dude. For the people,
For the people.
for one and all, none excluded. Etienne Rosas, man, I am so happy we did this.
Yeah.
Finally,
Really great times.
I am-
in COVID times.
in
like, no
COVID
less.
times of all times.
I would never have expected this.
Disappointing that we didn't do it before, but no. I'm very glad, man. You're welcome.
Thank you so much for
Cheers.
having me. It's
Yeah. Cheers.
always a pleasure.
See you, bitches. No, bitches is what Rogan says. And I feel like with the American flag, it's a Rogan thing, and like
It's a little too Rogan-y.
it's very Rogan. It is obnoxiously
a
Rogan.
little too much. Too. You got to come up with your own.
Yeah, it's disgustingly. It's like copying. Oh, do you smoke weed on a podcast? Ooh.
Yes.
Don't say, oh my god, don't do it. Alright, well. That's fucking awesome, man.
That's a good podcast. It's a fun.
Yeah, that was a great goddamn conversation.